go ahead and get started with our third session. As you've surely noticed, we've been exploring the theme of belonging and what it looks like for women who are sort of changing the game. And our next presenters are certainly doing that and more for the CSU Department of Construction Management, the effects of which will certainly be felt in industry in Colorado and well beyond. Anna Fontana is a senior instructor in the Department of Construction Management, where she co-teaches the pre-internship seminar, facilitates the internship course, coordinates on-campus recruiting, including serving as a lead for the CM Career Fair each semester, and is involved with student recruitment and outreach. Nicole Dufalla is an instructor in construction management, a licensed professional engineer who has worked with state and federal level highway agencies to improve highway specifications for construction methods and materials, and just recently received the Regional Teaching Award at the 59th Annual Associated Schools of Construction International Conference in the UK. So congratulations. We're so fortunate they're joining us along with some students whom they'll introduce. So Anna, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello. Can I get my slides up? Yay, that's me. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here today. As you can see, we brought like a small crew of folks from the Department of Construction Management. I'm so excited some of our students could join us today, so hopefully that'll be pretty fun for you all to enjoy. So I'm with the Department of Construction Management. I work in our placement office, as Caitlin said, so I do get to work with our students, placing them in internships, and then also get to help with a lot of our outreach activities, which has kind of led me to some of the stuff today. But essentially here today, we're just going to tell a little bit about our stories and how that ties to what the department is doing to really grow and support getting more women into the field of construction. So that's me. So again, Anna. So I graduated from the CM program at CSU, but my journey there was a little bit convoluted, and I don't think that's unique for construction management. So a lot of our students, we don't find it right away. It's not something you think about. So I spent 4 years in high school in a drafting class. They actually had to create more work for me because they only had the one drafting class that I just kept taking 4 years, and I loved it. And in that moment, I thought I wanted to be an architect. In hindsight, it's a really good thing I didn't go that route. I have absolutely zero creative ability. I just love the puzzle of how do I fit in, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom and a kitchen and a set of stairs into the shape that I was working with. But I was really good at science and math, and so my dad, who was a builder, keep that in mind, but my dad and my drafting teacher came at me from 2 different angles and really convinced me that because I was good and I had high aptitude in those areas, I should really pursue engineering, specifically civil engineering. And they were saying, there's more money, there's more jobs, less schooling than architecture. So, pretty convincing arguments. So I ended up at CSU in civil engineering. And about my second year, I started really missing the drafting. They didn't have drafting in civil engineering. I wasn't really connecting with a lot of my classes. So I searched the CSU catalog, found a drafting class, which happened to be in construction management. And that sense of belonging kept coming up today, and that's essentially what happened to me as soon as I switched or I took that class, and by the end of that semester, I was just in that one class in CM, and I felt like I belonged. I was definitely around people that I was more comfortable with, had more in common with. The faculty, to me, was more welcoming, and by the end of that semester, I had changed my major, and I had brought 4 women and about 7 men from the civil engineering program with me over to construction management. And the rest, as they say, is kind of history. That's not an uncommon path. So about half of the students in construction management come as change of majors or transfer students because they don't know about the program coming in. Again, my dad was a builder, so it shouldn't have been a foreign concept, but it's not something you think of getting a 4-year degree in, but there's so much opportunity. And about a year later, so that next summer, I really wanted to get some experience in construction beyond helping Dad clean houses. I wanted to get my own experience in more of a commercial construction role, and so before they had someone like Christy and myself helping students find internships, and full-time jobs, I literally took resumes and knocked on trailer doors at job sites. That's a very humbling and deflating experience when you don't get opportunities. Here I was, this 20-something-year-old girl knocking on a trailer door trying to get a job as a laborer or whatever I could get. And I didn't have any luck. So eventually, through my complaining, which usually lands me into something, a colleague or a peer student of mine who was already working in construction connected me with a drywaller, a local drywaller here in town. So I went and met with them and tried to convince him to hire me, and he was not convinced that he needed a project. So I eventually asked, I'm like, hey, I will work for free, I just want the experience. So he did, he took me on, and pretty quickly I proved that I was adding value, and so he paid me a wage, minimum wage, which was like $6-something an hour at the time. And a few weeks later, he bumped that up a little bit, and eventually it was a great experience. I learned a ton. I did provide a lot of value. He kept me on through my last year, and I remember towards the end of that year, I was getting ready to graduate, and he kind of sheepishly came up and be like, "So, what would it take to keep you on?" To which I smiled back and was like, "Oh, you can't afford me." And I moved to California and ended up working for DPR Construction, which was a high-tech firm in Silicon Valley, doing some really, really cool stuff. So just want to highlight some of that is like, yeah, sometimes as a woman, you have to kind of prove your worth a little bit more in a male-typical field. But we have a lot of value to add and a lot to offer, and sometimes you just got to work a little bit harder to get that first break. So that's kind of what we're all doing here to help reduce some of those barriers and make it easier for these folks. But when I went out into industry, because I get that question a lot, like, what's it like to be a woman in construction? And I was there 9 years. It's a really hard question to answer, because for me, I rarely felt like the only woman in the room, even though I typically was. Like a lot of our graduates, I think I just felt like the youngest person in the room, and I think that also came up in the panel. So here I was, 23 years old, managing groups of men that were decades older than me, with decades more experience than me, and telling them what to do, where and when, and how they need to be safer when they do it. And that's how I was self-conscious of that. I wasn't self-conscious that I was a woman. I was self-conscious that I had to go out and tell this person what to do when I didn't even know what I was doing, right? And so in that time in industry, I had a great experience. I was with a great company who really supported women in construction, and so never really had a negative experience except once. And so I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but essentially I was on a high-tech job with an international owner's rep, and that particular person came from a culture where women had a very different place, and they asked my employer to replace me with a male project manager. And to my company's credit, they were super supportive, and they said, hey, we can go tell this person to pound sand. You're going to do great. It's not their right to ask you to be replaced, but we thought you should know, and it should be your choice whether you stay. And part of me really wanted to stay and prove that person wrong and really kind of stick it to them and show them what a great job that a woman can do, maybe better than my male peers. And the part of me that won was like, do I really want to spend the next 18 months trying to prove myself to somebody who's probably not really going to change their opinion about what that should look like? And ultimately, I chose to just, wash my hands of it and go to another job. And I don't regret that at all. But that was like the one experience that still kind of sticks with me as things you could run into. And I don't think that's unique to construction as much as just any kind of field where women are underrepresented. But other than that, every woman I know in construction, kicks ass, as long as we're saying, like Blanche you already used the word, so I'm gonna go with it. We need more women because we happen to do things really well in construction, and I'm gonna go into that a little bit more in a second, but all the women I know are highly desired. They get asked to do a lot of things, and therefore they're always strapped and run short of time, what we call a time famine. And so we need to hire more. We need to get more out there so we can spread the love a little bit and spread the load a little bit. And so that's kind of what we're doing. And again, my journey is not unique. Both getting to college and finding this degree and my path through construction and probably needing more mentors, these are all things that we need to do more of in all these male typical fields. And we're going to spend a little time today kind of talking about what we're doing with that. So to go to more of this is the only part that's really lecture-y, even though we were labeled as a lecture. So this kind of ties with what we have to offer. So there is a huge workforce shortage right now in the field of construction. So this graph I found from Associated Builders and Contractors article that right now, 2023, we would need to hire over 500,000 construction workers to fill the gap, to supply the demand that we have for building right now. That's a lot of bodies. Women nationwide, for all industries, make up about 51% of the workforce, so slightly over half. In construction, they make up 10.9% of the workforce. So there's huge opportunity. If we could get some of that workforce into the construction field, then we could really close that demand, that need that we have to fill for that labor shortage. In construction management right now, we have 14.5%, which sounds great compared to 10.9, but we have a lot of room to go, and we've been working really hard to even get to that number. So it's like the more we get in, the more we should be able to recruit, because you'll see more people that are modeling what you want to do, more role models, things like that. Additionally, there is a much smaller gender pay gap in construction. This particular graph gives me very mixed emotions, because it shouldn't be there at all, it shouldn't be a graph, but nationwide, across all industries, women make, 82.9%, so 82.9 cents on the dollar compared to their male peer in the same role, right? It's unacceptable. In construction, it's much, much lower, so 95%. So that's pretty awesome, but it should still be like no gap. Makes no sense to me. But again, a lot of opportunity. Women have a lot of opportunity in construction, whether it's in the trades, in the management role. We need a lot of bodies. There's a lot of bodies that could come from that gender. Additionally, we just need more voices at the table, and this is all underrepresented groups. Today, specifically, we're talking about women, so we're going to focus on that. But everyone brings a different perspective. This is all industries again. Everyone brings a different voice, a different background, a different context, and you need that voice at the table. You're making decisions, you're managing huge technical projects, and everyone has something different to bring. And if it's just a bunch of old white guys at the table, you're not going to get the same result as a very mixed, diverse group of people sitting around the table. I didn't mean to do that yet. So for a long time, I broke it. We've had a lot of tech programming, like STEM, has come a long way in the last 10, 20 years. There's been a lot more STEM programming, like kindergarten through high school, geared towards getting more women into STEM fields, specifically like engineering and technology. And that's awesome, but construction is way behind the game there, and it's certainly not something that people look towards and say, hey, I want my daughter to go into construction. That certainly wasn't my case. I think my dad was pretty upset when I switched initially. And so how do we change that perception? How do we get it so it's like a desirable career that women want? I mean, we do this alumni survey like 5 years out. You would not believe what these people are making. Makes them want to go back. They're making lots of money. So there is a lot of opportunity to have very lucrative careers in construction, men, women alike. And so let's get that. If a woman in high school is doing well in math and science, that doesn't mean engineering is their best choice or only choice, right? Like, let's put all the options on the table and let them choose. A lot of women who are excited about building, I'll go into a high school and talk to them, and they're taking a construction class, and they're all excited about it. I'm like, oh, great, what are your plans? They're like, oh, I'm going into engineering. I'm like, what? You're in construction class? Like, help me out here. So we just need more help with teachers, counselors, parents, to really just change that perception that it's not just, the flaggers on I-25. There are a lot of different opportunities in construction. And there's a lot of research about how if you separate the boys from the girls at whatever age group when you're doing some of this programming, it really has a high impact, high value for their experience and the impact and what they take away. And so we've taken from that for some of our programming, which we'll talk about. So this is another slide I just found at an article I read recently from National Center of Construction Education and Research that really just shows the strengths that women bring to a team. And this was specifically with construction in mind, but what I love about this slide is, do you see anything specific or technical about construction here? It's really not. These are traits that women bring to any team they're on, whether it's a sports team, a family unit, a church group, your workplace, whether it's construction or not. These are skills we bring to the table that are highly desirable, and right now in most construction leadership positions, they would be listed, on the job description. So we have a lot to bring inherently, so let's use it. So what is CM doing about it here in our department? These are some of the things that we've done kind of more recently, some more recent than others. So the Women in CM Summer Institute, which we'll talk a little bit more about, that's sort of my passion project that I've been doing this will be our 6th year. Another woman from our program and I put it together that first year off a grant that we got through CSU, and now it's fully funded by industry, but we bring in 25 high school girls each summer to really just experience, hey, let's break it down, let's get vulnerable. We're working on confidence building. We're playing with tools and equipment and letting them play without all the dudes around. And one that's a little more recent is we've partnered with a local nonprofit that does a lot of work with the Boys and Girls Club. The girls' side of that, they have elementary, middle, and high school programming, and we've been working with their elementary kiddos leading up to Christmas, and we build gingerbread houses out of construction materials, and it's super, super rewarding, and it's fun to play with the girls, and it's great to get in front of them at a young age to really break down that perception again and say, hey, this is a really fun option for you. So those are kind of on the outreach side, and then on the recruitment side or support side when they get there, so more on the retention side, we have a couple programs. So we have our Women in Construction Student Organization, we have our Empower, which is a mentoring program, and then we have recently hired a full-time, which is awesome, a full-time student outreach and recruitment coordinator who comes from a TRIO background and is really helping us reach out to more underrepresented groups, and the women just being one of those, right? So that's huge for us and really helps our capacity to get out there a little more. All right, so the Women in Construction Management Summer Institute specifically, and we're gonna watch a video later that will tell you way more about it than I can, but the main goals were really, yes, to educate women about opportunities in construction, convince them that there are a lot of great opportunities and say, hey, we should really encourage you to pursue really any male typical field. We'll talk to them about it there, because we go over architecture, engineering, and construction opportunities. Encourage them to pursue higher ed, whatever that looks like for them, or additional education. We really focus on bringing in students from our alliance schools, which are often, first gen, sometimes low income, underrepresented groups. And we really want to just encourage people to explore, hey, how can I continue this education, continue this passion? And hopefully that's with us, but if it's not, that's great, as long as you're, pursuing your dreams and doing something further. And then really we do some vulnerable stuff and try to build confidence in our girls. And these are all pictures from that. So I'm not gonna go through all this, is a lot of information, but what I wanted to highlight there in purple is that I'll have men every once in a while, especially when we first try to get it funded, and I'll say, this is what we wanna do. We wanna have this girls' camp, we wanna play with tools, we wanna do this and that, and they'll say, well, they're gonna have to work with men eventually, why wouldn't you just start that now? And I'm like, yes, that's all true. And if we don't get them in the first place, how are they ever gonna find us, right? So this is an opportunity to create a very safe space to play and have fun with like-minded girls who are interested in the same things. And I'll do it real quick because I'm probably talking too much because I do that. Have any of you ever, remember camping? Any of you been camping, co-ed camping, like from the ages of 16 to like 26? I'm literally looking, yes. Okay. Do you remember when it was time to build the campfire? I would go camping a lot. I love to make a good campfire. I'm pretty good at it, but it would be like Olympics trying to elbow my way through the testosterone-induced challenge of who could build the best campfire, and it really wasn't important enough to me to elbow my way to the front. I'm sure I could build the best campfire out of that group, but it was more entertaining to sit back and watch other people either fail at it or do really well or just jostle at the prospect. And I use that analogy because I feel like it's very similar in our labs when you have co-ed and the guys are jumping to the front to use the power saws and use the drills, and the girls are happy to let them do it. It's not because they don't want to or because they can't do it, but it's because they don't feel the need to prove themselves in front of them, or maybe they are a little intimidated. But if we just take that away, they're way more apt to explore and have fun and really do it without thinking somebody's looking over their shoulder or judging or whatever. So that's what I wanted to point out there. And so this quote on the bottom in purple really points that out. Most of the girls that come to the camp initially say, hey, it didn't really matter to me that it was all girls when I applied, because I just wanted to come and play with construction tools. But when they leave, they really see the value and importance of the program we put together, the people we put in front of them that model these roles for them. So that's it for me. I'm going to hand it off to Nicole about some of the retention stuff we're doing.
Alrighty. Is this guy on? Is this on? Okay, perfect. All right. Hi, everyone. Alrighty. So obviously, Anna just did a great job of talking about some of the recruitment efforts we do in CM toward females. I'm going to shift gears a little bit into some of our retention efforts. But first, obviously for those of you that don't know me, which is all of you, I'm Nicole Dufalla. I'm a faculty over in the CM program. My career has been as a civil engineer, so I was on the engineering side, but a lot of field-based research. So like Anna, I'm also not a stranger to being the only female in a space, but also similar to Anna's story, I would say on a day-to-day basis, it wasn't something that maybe like ground me down, but I feel like when we talk about retention, and I'll talk about some of the factors that are important in retention, really, having female spaces, which is, what I'll talk about, and that level of support is something that I've noticed in my career is one of those things I didn't notice maybe was missing or how much I needed it until I had it. So again, for any of you that are in those male-dominated spaces, you're there, and then suddenly that feeling of like, relaxation, comfort, and camaraderie that you really get. I mean, we're lucky now that things are shifting. I can go to conferences now where we have like female-only mixers or things like that. But gosh, even to the extent of like, again, being in a male-dominated space and you see one other female and you just go up to her and say like, hi, I'm Nicole, and you guys just, there's so much unsaid that really, like, again, contributes to that feeling of camaraderie. So, like I said, I am going to pivot. These are a few pictures of me from my career of being out there as that only female, and I'm going to really talk about, like I said, some of the efforts that we make to keep students, not just keep students here, but keep students feeling like they have a sense of community. So when we talk about retention, and like I said, Anna talked about some of the great efforts we do, these things like the girls' camp, which we'll talk more about, to get females knowing what a great career path construction is, we do also have to look at the key component of, again, not just keeping them in the program, but keeping them satisfied while they're here and in their careers. So when we talk about retention, we've looked at a couple things, and I'll talk about how these kind of springboard into some of the decisions we've made about like retention efforts. Female identifying students that we saw in CM, pre-CM and CM, we did find statistically to be a little more likely than their male counterparts to leave in the first 2 years. And what I want to bring up here is really that it wasn't observed that, especially some of our anecdotal evidence, wasn't really about, oh, I don't have the skills, or I don't think this, I don't have the skills, I'm not interested in this. It was more feeling like my personality doesn't fit, right? Which is such a kind of ambiguous thing to say, right? My personality doesn't fit. And, again, these are a little anecdotal to our own program, but to say that what was reported of, well, what does that really mean? Some level of hesitancy among male peers to feel invited or accepted, and few female role models in the industry, obviously. So, to figure out better strategies of like what we really need to do to promote retention, this I pulled from actually a paper about looking at positive factors for student retention. So a survey of female students that stayed in construction, and again, this was presented as a survey to these students, they ranked what was important to them to stay. So you can see top of the list, and I know this slide's a little busy, but top of the list, a community of other construction students, again, female identifying students feeling a community. I have, and you can go through this list if you're interested, I've bolded a couple that I think are really going to be addressed in the couple of retention efforts that I'm going to talk about. But again, if we're framing like, well, what do we really need to do for retention? Part of that comes from, well, what really works and what do students need? So if we're looking through the lens of we need to provide some kind of community for our female identifying students, this female space, let's talk about like, again, some things that we've done to address that. So we do, and Anna pointed this out, we do have a student organization, Women in Construction. This has gone on for more than 15 years. I don't have the exact start date. This is a student-run club. So what's great about it is it can really morph based on student need and interest. So a student club, they host events that would be, again, it can morph based on student interest every semester. This can look like site visits. This photo is actually from a fashion show that we had recently. Panels with industry members, coffee talks that we also sponsor with industry mentors, and a lot of, again, can be more on the industry pure networking side, but at its base, a social venue to actually foster that community. So I will say that within our department, we've got about 50% of our female identifying students are members of WIC, so it's very popular among our students. And of the WIC membership, actually 25% of that are male. So to the slide I said previously of some of that motivation, not motivation to leave, but that lack of feeling of community is also to feel unsupported by your male peers. And I feel like that 25% is really showing us that we are fostering a space that, you know, we can see support from our male peers as well, those that are involved and interested in getting involved in WIC activities and supporting females. Another piece to this, and again, WIC is a little, again, student-run, you know, the events are fostered by those students, but a little more on the formal side. We were interested in actually developing a mentoring program that's, like I said, a little more formalized. Mentoring is a solution to some of those issues that I bolded on that slide of like positive outcomes from fostering retention among female students. So we did actually go through an effort of instituting a mentoring program called Empower in 2019. And again, part of that was to help, again, there's enough data out there showing that mentoring, especially within minoritized groups, will lessen turnover, improve like commitment, and actually feel supported by these organizations. So the Empower Mentoring Program is a program where we support our pre-CM and early CM students. So within that first or second semester of declaring CM as a major are the mentees. And they get paired with a peer mentor. So this is a junior or senior level female identifying student. And they also get paired with an industry mentor. So it's a 3-person group, basically. And what's great about this is that they have kind of 2 levels of mentoring, right? These mentors support different needs. You know, the peer mentor is going to be helpful to them for, you know, straightforward questions, things like course registration, or even just like, how can, you know, tutoring even within a class, for instance. The industry mentor is really great for, I would say at the freshman level, you know, not as much of like direct career questions, although obviously sometimes they have those, but to really see, again, what we know we need in community, seeing yourself in the industry, right? Like seeing somebody that looks like you succeeding, which is a huge model for mentoring, right? So, and I will say something that's really exciting in the program is we're at the point that some of our own graduates are these industry mentors, which is wonderful after having, you know, a couple of years of experience. And so again, we structure this as a mentoring pod here. So like I said, we have our freshman level mentee, they have a peer mentor. You know, this is structured now on a semesterly basis. We're kind of morphing this program to be a year-long model. The intent is at minimum meeting with their groups like once a month. Like I said, the peer mentor is really more on that academic side and having somebody that kind of has your back in the department, right? The industry mentor, like I said, those are more career-based resources. Those are also intended to meet once a month, and we do foster some group activities. And what's fun about these is they're really based on student need. And we'll see they kind of run the gamut. We've done things like Tool Day, which again, providing a safe space to be like, I want to learn better how to use some of these tools and not be intimidated and feel free to ask dumb questions, or actually not, because there's no such thing as a dumb question, right? And so some of those skill sessions, we've had site visits that kind of prelude with a little like site visit 101, like again, space where there's no dumb questions. What should I wear? Where should I stand? Like how do I know what I need to do on a site? So we've definitely fostered some activities like that. We've hosted some panels that are based on kind of student need with our industry mentors, student questions, things like, what do you do all day? That was a great panel that we had. That's basically like each industry mentor just talking about, what does my day-to-day look like? Because there's so many questions at that freshman level that are really like, yeah, what do you do? You wake up and what does that day look like? And then of course we bring it all together with a big dinner at the end where we just celebrate a good time. And so what I think is great about this program is we've definitely seen a lot of like positive impact from it. That again, students that are peer mentor or freshman mentees will see become peer mentors later. We'll see them become industry mentors. And we report a lot of them just kind of staying in touch throughout the program. So again, a really great program that we've seen some positive feedback from of just providing some space for students to, again, grow toward their goals that they're identifying. So with that, I have actually heard that you all heard this quote earlier at the panel, but it stands, right? We love Maya. She's wise. And I want to say within the frame of what we really want to do with retention or even mentoring, again, is really providing that feeling of a fostered community space, because that's really what's going to last, right? And that's what's going to keep people excited and feeling like they belong. So with that, I'm actually going to pass it over. You'll see the rest of our discussers here are some of our lovely students. I'm going to pass it over to one of our students, Ava Martinez, who is actually involved in WIC Empower and Honest Camp. So this is going to be, she's done it all, and she's going to talk to some of her experiences.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ava Martinez. I'm a senior in the CM program, graduating in May, super excited. And thank you. And I'm just going to kind of tell my story about how I got to where I am today, all of the relationships I've made, and all of the experiences I've had. So going back in time to my junior year of high school, I was at the point of life where I had no idea what I wanted to do, as many people. And I was just researching different opportunities and came across the Women in Construction Summer Institute. And at this point, I'd had no idea what construction management was, very little experience on construction in general. So I thought, I have nothing to lose, might as well sign up for it. And it ended up being one of the best decisions I've made. I was surrounded by so many inspiring women, from current CM students to professors and people in the industry. And I realized that I wanted to be like them. I wanted to follow in their footsteps. So soon after that institute ended, I signed up for one college, that being CSU, because I wanted to go into CM and see what it was about. And this camp also helped to influence my decision to join my high school's construction program. There I was able to learn like all of the different things you can do within construction and within the industry, and really get a lot of like hands-on use of everything. And through that, we were able to do like different Habitat for Humanity volunteer days, really apply what we learned in class to the field, and also realized that this was my first time where I realized I was the only woman in a group full of men. So going forward to freshman year of college and walking into my first college course as the only female, I was very intimidated, to say the least, but I thought back to my Women in Construction Summer Institute, thought about all of those amazing women, and I knew I just needed to find people like that, find a support network where I could really thrive. And that's how I turned to WIC, Women in Construction, and this has been such a great club throughout the past 4 years. Met so many people in the major that I don't think I would have otherwise. We've done so many different exercises and activities, everything from site visits to different panels about confrontation or what to wear on the job site on a day-to-day. And we've all really been able to bond and just create this great community of women and allies alike. And in addition to Women in Construction, I was also part of the Empower Women Mentorship Program. As a freshman, I was a mentee and had an amazing upper-class female and an industry mentor, and they really just helped to guide me through my first year here, as well as just what to expect in the next 4 years, and then once I graduated and was about to start my career. And now I'm happy to say that I'm a mentor myself and have had some amazing young women that I hope to give back the same support that I got when I was a freshman. All that to say that when looking at different majors, I didn't know if I had the right personality. I'm inherently an introvert, and I was surrounded by all of these extroverted, confident people, mostly men, that I didn't know if I was gonna be successful in it. But throughout these past 4 years, I realized that there's not a certain personality that you need to succeed. And this isn't even just in construction, this is everything. As long as you're passionate about something, it doesn't matter if you're introverted or extroverted, you can set your mind to it. And I also realized that generally, the loudest men in the room were also the ones that were the most clueless, so that helped. And Now, after almost 4 years in the construction management program, I seriously can't imagine doing anything else. I've made so many great friends, had so many great experiences. Looking back at the first time I mixed concrete to capstone presentations like a few weeks ago, making a tiny home in class, and then attending all of the construction management career fairs and talking with different people from the industry. There have been so many network opportunities with my peers and professors and different professionals in the industry that I've just had so many opportunities I never thought I would. The CM department has really created such a good support network for me, and I feel prepared to go out into the industry knowing that there's people and different resources that I can come to no matter what the circumstances are. And after I graduate, I have a job lined up as a project engineer at a construction company, and I'm super excited to be a part of their own Women in Construction program and continue to build myself and other people a support network. There's just been so many inspirational people that I've met through my time here, and I've made so many lifelong friendships that I'm so happy that I took the chance to be a part of the Women in Construction Summer Institute, and I really don't know where I would be without that program or the women around me to support me. So now we're gonna transition into a quick video about this past summer's Summer Institute, so thank you.
Has shown me a bunch of career paths that I never even considered before.
Well, I'm majoring in construction management this fall, and it's making me more confident in my choice to do construction management.
So we are hosting our 5th annual Women in Construction Summer Institute to give high school girls an opportunity to experience the construction industry and all the kinds of career paths that are available to them.
Construction runs in my family, so having this opportunity is like really cool.
We really want these young women to be able to explore this in a safe space where they don't feel, like they're being judged or they're being self-conscious about what they're doing. If they're trying tools for the first time, that can be a little intimidating, so we want them to come here and just feel really safe to explore and do everything with a group of like-minded young women who are also exploring and excited to try new things.
It was fun. It was easier than I thought. I was a little intimidated at first because I've never worked with concrete, but it came out pretty good, I think, for my first time.
Oh, perfect! Okay. And we think if we bring them here and we set up all these activities and we bring in our alumni and our different industry partners who have blazed these great trails in a sort of male typical field, that they can see themselves in those roles going down their path, and we hope that they'll come here and find that and get excited and inspired and maybe consider this as their career.
I really love it, especially like all the people who come in, all like the powerful women in the industry who come in.
And they've gotten to do a lot of hands-on activities. We build a concrete lamp.
I thought it was really cool. I didn't think that we were gonna actually like mix our own concrete, but I'm really happy it turned out in like an actual like square shape. I thought it was gonna like crumble or something.
How cool is that?
They do an equipment rodeo and get to run a forklift, run a scissor lift, all kinds of equipment.
I think my favorite thing was the welding. It was really cool, and we get to keep the little piece of metal that we weld.
It was interesting just getting to use some of the equipment I would if I was in construction, and I really liked flying the drones.
We did 3D modeling yesterday and some augmented mixed reality headsets, which was very cool.
It really makes me see like how you could totally use this for construction. It's like a whole world, but you don't have to take a bunch of resources to build it.
And then we just finished making our industrial pipe box, so they get to do a little bit of woodworking, a little bit of pipe kind of stuff.
We cap off the week by volunteering at Habitat, which is awesome because these girls can learn that this is a career path that you can make a difference, a positive impact in your community.
Well, that was awesome.
I've always wanted to volunteer for Habitat. It's really cool that I get to like paint and stuff. So like whenever I'll drive by, I'll be like, wow, I painted a column in this neighborhood.
It is so cool to see the girls learn things throughout the week and see kind of that light bulb moment where something just clicks for them and they fall in love with an activity and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, maybe this is something that I want to pursue.
I learned a lot more. I learned about all different aspects of construction, and it really gave me a clearer view of what I want to do when I grow up.
But there's so many different areas in construction management, you can find something that fits you.
Hello everyone, my name is Daisy Dominguez and it's a huge pleasure to be here with all. Last summer I was a part of the 2022 Women in Construction Management Institute here at CSU. Before graduating high school, my friends and I had a talk about things we would do in the summer, and many of them said they will work or go on vacations. And then when they asked me, what are you doing this summer? I instantly said, I'm attending a summer institute for women in construction that are interested in learning more about it. When they heard this, they filled me with questions like, why construction? Why are you spending your last summer in school? My only answer to this was, I love construction. Construction has been a part of me since I was a child. The satisfaction of knowing that I built something with my own hands is incredible. All through high school, I was involved in a woodworking class where I got to experience and learn more about power tools, electrical, plumbing, drywall, and more. I plan on expanding my construction knowledge and attending CSU in fall 2022 to work towards a bachelor's degree in construction management. But before my first semester, I want to make sure this is what I want to do. So this is why I made my decision on spending my last summer in the Summer Institute. The big day was here, June 7th. I was on the road wondering what could I learn in a week. The first thing I saw when I got to the pre-construction building was a wonderful lady full of joy, Fontana. A while after talking and obtaining the information, we went off to our first activity, building a bridge out of Legos. This is when I knew I would love the summer camp. Throughout this week, we had the opportunity to build concrete lamps, an industrial box, volunteer for Habitat and Humanity. Not only this, but we also had the opportunity to do an equipment rodeo. Besides all these hands-on activities, we also had knowledge time where we got to find our strengths, do sketch activities, and learn how to read plans and estimate. Each one of these activities helped me realize that I want to do construction management. Attending this summer camp reassured me that this major is definitely for me. Everyone has a story to tell about their first year of college. For me, moving day was full of excitement since it was the starting line for pursuing my passion for construction. It was nerve-wracking to be in such a big school, but joining Women in Construction, I felt part of the community instantly. I met wonderful people that I know I can count on, including my summer camp mentors, Evelyn and Leslie. They have encouraged me to keep on passing my knowledge to others so they can eventually find their passions too. I have volunteered in the Boys and Girls Club by helping younger kids build gingerbread houses out of wood. Out of this opportunity, I learned that I want to be a mentor, and this is why I decided to be a mentor for the 2023 Women in Construction Institute. Looking back, I have no regrets on spending my last summer doing what I love. I have gone a long way ever since then, and I learned so much about myself. I could not have done it without the support of my role models. I would like to express my gratitude to WIG for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Fontana, and everyone who participated last summer. I look forward to making new memories, connecting with more people, and most of all, continue on expanding my knowledge. Thank you for listening to my story.
Thank you, Hannah. Hi, I'm Sydney. So initially, I applied for CSU to be a civil engineer, and then I realized I don't even know what a civil engineer was, and I got over my head, and I didn't know what to do, and I've somehow stumbled upon construction management, and I changed my major to it, and the camp was a suggested activity for it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just go, why not? And throughout the camp, on my way there, I was nervous and overwhelmed because I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know anyone who was going, and it being 25 girls, that's such a small group. But when I got there, everyone was so warm and welcoming, getting to know people through small talk, just hearing where they came from, and people coming from out of state. That was so crazy to me. But throughout the camp, the first thing that I took away was the insight of I'll learn stuff that's here that I didn't realize I'm gonna be doing throughout my career. The floor plans that we looked at, the SketchUp, which is an application, and going on the tour for the men's locker room. Now I've been on 5+ job site tours. And then the second one was the team building. Like Daisy mentioned, the Lego building. I was in a group with very strong personalities, and it was very difficult to come to conclusions and make decisions together, but we ended up building it, and I think we were in 3rd place, I'm not sure. But on that last day when we did Habitat, we got to give back to the community, and it was really nice working for the last time with the girls that I made connections with for that week. And my favorite part was working on that box that is in that picture. The girl I worked with, Channing, she was in the video. We had a really good dynamic working together, and we just had fun with it, and it was really cool learning how to build a box. But the biggest takeaway I took from the camp was the connections I've made. The girls that I still keep in contact with, and actually Daisy and I are roommates this year, which is great. And the faculty connections I made, it was so easy and nice to meet them in a comfortable setting. And now they're familiar faces I see throughout campus, and I get to catch up with them, and they'll be my professors in the future years. Looking back almost a year later, I am a mentee for the Women in Construction Club. I participated on the ASC Sustainability Competition team in February in Reno, which was, I would have never expected to go there my freshman year, but it was such a great experience. And I was also an Empower mentee, and I have the opportunity to be doing an internship this summer with Turner Construction, which is great. And overall, I know that I would have not done this much involvement with CM if I didn't go to this camp, and I'm so thankful I got to do this. And I just want to thank everybody for their time and hearing our experiences. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so they're awesome, and they're the reason we do what we do. I just shed a tear a second ago. I need hugs. But that's it. That's our story. That's a little bit about what we're trying to do. We need more women in construction. The numbers are not good, and whatever we can do to make that better, we're trying. And if you have ideas or if you want to be a part of it, please let us know. We do have some flyers out there. But thank you for listening to our stories and sharing. If you have questions, we are happy to hang out for a little bit. And hopefully you did notice it, but those Daisy and Sydney, my faves, they were in the video, and it's hard to watch yourself in a video, if you know that. So to follow yourself in the video and come up here is great. I'm super proud of them. Thanks for being part of it, all 3 of you.